Welcome in, guys. Week 16 is here. Pete Nova with the Face Off Sports Network. I'm joined by my colleague, Michael Hoff, and we are ready to roll here on a Sunday morning. It's 9:45 Eastern time. We got a couple hours before kickoff. We had a couple games go off yesterday. We had a Thursday night game as well. There was a lot of impactful things that have happened so far with 3 games already off the books. Puka Nacua on fire. Kenneth Walker, managers probably benched him and did not have him in the lineup, same as the guys like Matt Stafford possibly.
Yep.
Then you had last night, DeAndre Swift, who has been really, really good for fantasy the last couple of weeks, ends up kind of giving us a donut. Colson Loveland gets a little bit of garbage time at the end, but still not nearly as much as we had hoped for. And DJ Moore pops off, and really the Packers everywhere outside of Romeo Dobbs, I mean, didn't do much with the Jordan Love injury. So a lot to go over, a lot of questions to answer. Super excited for it today, Hoff. Is there a particular game on the slate today that you have your eye on? Is there a specific player maybe that you think not talked about as much that you think is due for a good day today, or whatever you want? The floor is yours.
I wouldn't say a specific player that I think is going to break out that not a lot of people are talking about, but I mean, for whatever reason, the Falcons and the Cardinals, more so because the Cardinals with Jacoby Brissett. I'm curious to see what we get out of Michael Carter with with Marvin Harrison coming back. I apologize, and then Pittsburgh and Detroit. I think that's got the potential to be. I mean, the over under is 52.5. I think that's got a potential to be a nice fantasy football matchup, and just selfishly, I need actually both running backs, Jameer Gibbs and Bijan, to go off. So, yeah,
Yeah, I think that game has a chance to be pretty high scoring.
yeah.
So I'm in agreement with you there.
It's the highest over
All right,
under. It's the highest over under on the week.
is it?
Yeah. Well, for the rest of the games, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, Lions defense is pretty banged up, and Steelers offense has been better the last couple of weeks. So we'll see how it goes. But all right, well, why don't we get into it? We do have a super chat from MK, so we'll get to that one first. And he said Pickens or Mike Evans. PPR decisions driving me crazy. I'm here to tell you I'm starting Mike Evans rather comfortably today. Uh, you know, George Pickens goes up against the Chargers, and the Chargers. Look, this is going to be a high scoring game. I'm not banking that George Pickens is going to give us a donut here, because I know a lot of people think that he hasn't played well the last couple weeks, and he's going up against a tough matchup, and it's got donut written all over it. But I don't think Pickens is going to be that bad. I still have him as a top 20 wide receiver this week, but I have Mike Evans Hoff as I mean, I have him as my wide receiver 10 this week. I'm very high
Mm.
on Mike Evans. Love what I saw from him last week. Baker Mayfield, a little bit of a revenge narrative going up against his old team that made him freaking play snaps at defensive end. I'm high on Mike Evans this week a lot. I have him at wide receiver 10 against Carolina. I think I saw everything I needed to see last week. It's a much more favorable matchup. And the Chargers, I did allude to it before, but the Chargers are one of the stingiest defenses to wide receivers in fantasy this year.
Yeah, if there was a better matchup for Pickens, I would go the way of Pickens on this one. And not to mention, when you look at Pickens, I mean, Pete mentioned that he's struggled. He went from week 11, 24.9, week 12, 25.1, then all of a sudden 13.8, 6.2, 4.8. Gross, gross, gross. That's even in half point scoring. So so yeah, I'm gonna go Evans here as well. If there was a better opponent for Pickens, I can make a better case, but I will not in that point.
Sure. I had to switch
And it's
hats. The
kind of
hat that I
ambitious
had,
though.
super super tight on my head, man. It was giving me a headache already. I don't usually wear that one.
That's not a good omen. That's not a good omen,
No.
dude. You're wearing a Broncos hat, too tight, gotta take it off, giving you a headache.
I have other Broncos hats I can put on. This
Okay.
one's not a Broncos hat though.
Okay.
Okay. Let's head to the questions. And I do want to make sure you guys know, make sure you like and subscribe to the show. This room will fill up. We're 5 minutes in. There's 14 people here. There's a good chance in 10, 15 minutes, we'll probably be at somewhere around 40, possibly even 50 live viewers on YouTube. If you're on Twitter, please go head over to YouTube and we'll answer your questions there. If you're on YouTube, Rosie saying, if you guys can head over to YouTube, would be much, much appreciated. We'll get to your questions over here. But you can send in a super chat as well if you don't want to wait, as this room will pile up. But we will do our best to answer as many people as possible today. Mark said, Tet, George Pickens, Michael Wilson, 2 full PPR, go Birds. Speaking of the Philadelphia Eagles, that offense has looked better last 2 weeks now. It is against the Raiders and the Commanders, Mike. But it is what they need to go into the playoffs, and get themselves right. So you play who's on your schedule, right? As the 49ers know.
Is that shade because of the Broncos comment? Is that what just happened?
No. But we've talked about it. The 49ers schedule has been pretty bad, but they also dealt with a lot of injuries. So you got to play who's on schedule. It doesn't matter if your opponents are weak.
Yeah, as we both take a sip. Perfect podcasting there. Leave dead air. Anyway, we're picking 2 here, full point PPR.
Yeah.
I'm actually curious for what you're going to say here. I'm going Michael Wilson. I still think he's going to produce even with Marvin Harrison coming back. It doesn't really scare me. I will just say, going on to next year, I'm curious to see what Marvin Harrison does in year 3. But for now, I'll go Michael Wilson, and I'm actually going to go George Pickens on this one to edge out Tet McMillan slightly.
I'm definitely going with Michael Wilson here. I have Michael Wilson as wide receiver 7 this week. If Marv doesn't play, it sounds like Marv is playing. Michael Wilson probably drops down right ahead of Tet McMillan at 15. So I would have it as Michael Wilson 15. I'd have Tet at 16. I'm sorry, I'd have Tet behind Cortland Sutton. So I'd probably have Tet as my wide receiver 16. If Marv comes back, I have Marv at 21. So I have Marv at 21. I'd have Michael Wilson right around wide receiver 16. Well, actually, no, he technically goes to 15. So I apologize. Sorry for the confusion. So technically he goes to 15. But yeah, I mean, between Tet and George Pickens, it is tough. I'm gonna go with Tet McMillan. Tampa Bay has been really leaky in the secondary. They've lost players. They just lost another cornerback this past week. They've been banged up a lot lately, and I think it's a high scoring game. I'll take Tet in that one. I worry about the Chargers. I talked about it with Pickens. I don't think the ceiling is there for Pickens. I think Pickens is probably in for a decent day, like a 12-point game is probably what I'm expecting from Pickens. But Michael Wilson is the guy you have to start, right? I mean, over the last 5 weeks, the Atlanta Falcons are giving up 46.2 points to wide receivers. That's number 1 in the NFL. So even when Marv comes back, both of those guys can still play very well. And then when you go down to the Chargers, Chargers 24th when it comes to points allowed to wide receivers over the last 5 weeks. They're only giving up 23.6. So to me, you're looking at 2 wide receivers with Michael Wilson and George Pickens that are in offenses that they have alphas next to them, or somewhat alphas, because I don't know what Marv is at this point. And, can you support ceiling play? And Michael Wilson's matchup supports ceiling. Now, when we talk about Tet going up against the Bucks, because I think that's important to note, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 17th. They give up 27.7 points per game to wide receivers. But I don't really look in that room with the Panthers like there's an alpha next to Tet. So I don't think there's going to be a ton of defense in that Panthers game.
All right. I figured you were going to pick Tet.
Let's move over to the next question, and I'll let you read this one off.
Jenny Whipple coming in here said, good morning. I can start 1 Hubbard, Gadsden, Godwin, or Worthy, Buka, or Montgomery flex position. So could start 1 of these 6 players, actually. And Worthy's kind of important given the fact that there is no Rashee Rice and concussion protocol. Um, I'm kind of out on Ibuka right now with the wide receivers returning. We talked about Evans earlier. The drops, I'm a little worried about that. I think I'd go Xavier Worthy in this spot. I know it's Gardner Minshew, but I do think Gardner Minshew is going to air it out a bit. We've seen backup quarterbacks obviously come in and produce, surprise us, excite us. The Joe Flacco's of the world, all those names. So I'm actually going to go Xavier Worthy here. Um, if it was standard, if it's half point or full point, Jenny, I'm going Worthy. If it's standard, I would probably lean with David Montgomery in that spot. But any point per reception, give me Worthy. But yeah, Pete. So that's what you're looking at. You got what 6 names here to choose from for one flex spot.
Yeah, I mean, Hubbard's definitely not in play for me.
Yeah.
Gadsden is interesting. I do happen to like
Mm.
Gadsden in this game. I like him a lot this week, but the problem with tight ends. He's not a top 5 player, and so tight ends this week is really hard. I mean, we looked at Colson Loveland and thought smash matchup. The truth about tight ends is unless you're elite, you're really hoping and praying for a touchdown. And I don't know that I could say that that's going to happen for Gadsden. I like him this week, but I think when you look at these other wide receivers between Godwin, Worthy, Egbuka, Montgomery, honestly, I would go with Amik. I would go with Chris Godwin or Ibuka. I think there'll be points in that game. I like Xavier Worthy because yes, he is in a situation where you think like, yeah, he's top dog. It makes a lot of sense, but they're going to be. They're going to be in a spot where I don't think there's going to be a ton of scoring. I think it's going to be low scoring, a lot of running, conservative play, a lot of throws to Kelsey. I don't necessarily know. Worthy and Mahomes couldn't get on in connection even when Rice was gone. I don't know that I feel confident that Worthy's going to be that dude. It's not even saying that I don't like Xavier Worthy this week. I mean, I think he's a fine play, but I'm not nearly as high on him as maybe some other people are. So it's really between Chris Godwin and Amika Egbuka. Um, Honestly, I know it sucks and I hate to say it. I actually probably would go with Amika Egbuka. I'm not going
Really?
Montgomery
You're not
touchdown
worried about the
dependent.
drops at all?
He's still getting the volume. Chris Godwin got really, really lucky last week with that touchdown
Sure.
and the 2-point conversion. Egbuka saw one of his highest target percentages last week that he had seen, all season long. So, routes that he was targeted on. It's just a matter of, yeah, he didn't score the touchdown. He still had 7 targets. He still had 64 yards. I feel like we do this with Amike Buka every week, so I get it. But I don't think there's a lot of ceiling players that you have here, and that game screams ceiling to me. And I think it's Godwin or Ibuka. It's got to be one of them for me, and I'll go with Ibuka, who I think is getting more volume. Montgomery, the problem with and the concern with him is, he's losing more and more touches every single week.
Sure.
I mean, he hasn't touched 10 rushes, I think, in the last 3 weeks.
I'll double check that. But I mean, you might be right. He has been losing touches for sure.
Yeah.
But I'd have to
So,
vet that and double check that. But
yeah, I think Hubbard's definitely out for me, though. I think Gadsden's
yeah,
definitely out for me. I think Gadsden's a floor play, and Igbuka and Gadsden provide similar floors. Igbuka's got a higher ceiling, and so does Worthy. So that's kind of how I view it.
yeah. Geez. I mean, not even counting receptions. I mean, since week 11, 6 attempts, 5 attempts, 8 attempts, 6 attempts, 7 attempts. That's all for Dave Montgomery. That's actually not good. Um,
Yeah.
you know
So
what?
I
I'd go. So back to Jenny then. If it's standard, I think I still go Worthy then. On
yeah,
that note,
you go Worthy, and even that if it's standard, like I don't know, I just don't love it. But let's get
oh,
to
I
the
get
super
it. I
chats.
mean,
We do have a couple of super chats, so why don't we get to those?
yeah.
TD, I think this is Troy. What's going on, man? Said, hey Pete, Lad, Pickens, Igbuka need one, and would you flex Rico or Michael Carter over any of them? Thank you in advance. So Let's start off with the wide receivers here, Hoff. Pickens, Igbuka, Ladd. While I'm not high on Pickens this week, I do have Pickens the highest ranked out of all of these players. I think Ladd's the guy you would pivot to if you're not super high on Pickens because he's got the better matchup. Um, but I think I'd still prefer Pickens here. You?
Yeah, I'm still going Pickens. I mean, Lad's been so disappointing. I mean, the matchup isn't bad today, but I mean, if you look in what 1, 2, 3, and 4 out of the last 6 games, he's had less than 10 points in half point scoring. Um, and I know he's saying PPR, just I have half point up here, but that's terrible. It's hard to hitch my wagon to that. I would rather go with George Pickens in this spot. So I actually do that pretty comfortably. Pickens for me.
Okay. And then for the running backs, I'm very high on Michael Carter this week. I have
Okay.
Michael Carter as my RB19. He's going up against Atlanta, 19th on the season. Atlanta is in terms of points allowed to the running back position. I think over the last like 5 weeks, it's even better. I'm gonna wait and see if once that loads up, and I'll confirm that for you. But Michael Carter since week 11, he's had 7, 3, 6, 4, and 4 targets. So he has got involved in the receiving game. He's gotten over 20, he's gotten over 30 yards receiving 3 out of the last 4 games, 30, 47, 18, and 38. So that's encouraging. Now you factor in the workload added on from a running standpoint because no Bam Knight, right? Last week he had 14 carries, he played 52 snaps. And I don't see a world where maybe DeMarcado is going to mix in a little bit because that's just how they roll over there. But I think Michael Carter is set up for a really really nice week. I love him in the championship. I mean, he gets the Cincinnati Bengals. If you were able to pick up Michael Carter and you can get to next week, I mean, having him in your flex is going to be awesome. Now Falcons. I do want to come back to this and say Falcons actually have been stingier over the last 5 weeks. They're 29th in points allowed to the running back position. I'm curious to see who they've played the Falcons at the running back position. That might shed a little bit more light on that, but still, I'm very high on Michael Carter in this matchup.
Falcons over the last few weeks: Buccaneers, Seahawks, Jets, Saints. Be the last few
Yeah,
weeks.
I mean, so those are not really. I mean, the Jets have really don't have a consistent running game, even with Brees Hall, right?
Sure.
The Saints started to kind of come on strong with their running game a little bit with Devin Neal, but it wasn't like he was setting the world on fire and then he got hurt. The Buccaneers, their running game definitely is solid. I mean, I don't know if Bucky was there for that game, but and then you mentioned the Seattle Seahawks, who is
Yep.
one of the most inconsistent running games in the NFL. So
They're the
I mean,
best at
I'll
being
take
consistently inconsistent.
yeah, so I'll take the season long sample size a little bit weighted heavier there. So I prefer Michael Carter. I've laid out a very strong stance. My concern with Rico is that, with the Bucks, while they haven't been very good against running backs lately, their strength is up the middle, and that's where Rico does most of his damage. It's not to the outsides. And I have Rico at 23. I have Michael Carter at 19. I think Rico is a low end RB2 this week. I don't hate him. I think the volume's still going to be there, but I'm not as high on him. I think the ceiling's higher for Michael Carter.
I'm going Rico slightly over Michael Carter. I mean, since week 11, Rico Dowdle's been the 13th best back in fantasy football in half point formats, 83.6 points. And yeah, I'm digging the matchup, but again, I think these guys are within a few points of each other. I mean, you mentioned your rankings. I always find it hard. I always bitch about how I don't trust the Seahawks backfield. I don't really trust the Cardinals backfield, but it's not as much their fault. They've had a lot of injuries. Um,
Sure,
so
their running
I
game
don't.
sucks.
Yeah, I'm leaning Rico slightly, but I would judge no one for going Michael Carter over Rico. I think it's that close. So
Thanks for the super chat, Troy. Circus Boy, what's going on, man? Said $2 super chat, close match. Burrow or Purdy, Higgins to play. Yeah, for me, I'm going Burrow here. I had to readjust my rank on Purdy this week. I had him ranked extremely high. But the more and more, I had Purdy as high as 6 when I initially did my rankings, and then I tweaked it back a little bit. The more and more I looked at it, and I said, you know what, he's projected for under 22 and a half completions. So they don't think he's gonna, so that brings the that brings the upside a little bit down. He's
Sure.
also projected for 4 rushing yards, so he's not projected to run a lot, which is worrisome, which is not his thing anyway, right? Sorry, rushing attempts. He's projected for under 10 yards. And then you look at the passing touchdowns, he's projected to throw 2. But I prefer Burrow. I mean, Burrow's projected for 265 yards. Purdy's projected for 242. Both guys projected to throw 2 touchdowns, but I think that there's a chance that Miami. I know people are thinking Quinn Ewers is going to be terrible today, Mike,
Hmm.
and I think that's very much possible. But also keeping in mind that the Bengals defense is awful, and Tua Tagovailoa was terrible this year. So
Yeah.
Quinn Ewers, I think they can keep the game somewhat competitive enough where the Bengals are not going to take their foot off the gas. Is my point.
Right.
I don't think that I don't have concerns about that.
Yeah, I mean I do like Purdy this week, but I'm still going Burrow. Not an ideal matchup for either quarterback, to be honest with you. Both teams kind of middle of the road ish in terms of points allowed, ish in a way. But yeah, no, I'm leaning Burrow here. I feel like Burrow's bound to just have a big game here, and I know you don't want to hear that when you're playing in the playoffs and you're like, I keep putting him out there, he keeps giving me duds, but I don't envision the Bengals being a team now that they're eliminated. I don't envision them going quietly into the night. I envision them wanting to finish off on a strong note, especially on the offensive side of the ball. I will say I don't think Ewers is going to be that bad today. Maybe that's my Texas fandom in me, but I mean, based
Yeah,
on what Tua has been giving us the last few weeks, I don't see how Ewers can be like that much worse. And also, I still like Darren Waller today. Sidebar: Bengals are historically bad against tight ends, but yeah, I'll go Burrow over Purdy there.
yeah. I have to say I have moved up Waddle a little bit in my rankings, but not much. I mean, I have him I have him at 23,
Sure.
which is actually pretty low. Um, I want to get him higher, Mike, but I just can't. Like, and honestly, it's not even that like, hey, like I actually think Waddle's not going to see much of a drop off. I mean, well, like Tua couldn't even throw him the ball last week. I mean, I'm still
Yeah.
pissed. I lost by point 1 because of Jalen Waddle, and I
Hmm.
and I lost to you, who had Jalen Waddle, and so I mean, I
Nice kick
I
in the dick. That's it.
yeah, the
Si-
the highest ranking that they have for Jalen Waddle is Ellis Johnson on Fantasy Pros has him at 9. I am. Let's see. Can I find Mike and myself on Fantasy Pros?
No,
So I have.
I haven't adjusted my rankings too well, so I wouldn't. Yeah.
Well, you have him at 17. I have him at 24. I have him ranked like, I mean, there's almost like it doesn't tell me how many people, but the lowest someone has him at 40 this week. I think that's a little much,
Yeah.
but
And
yeah,
I'll just quickly say somebody mentioned the chat. Burrow hasn't played well in the last 2 weeks. What kind of indicator do you have that he's going to play well? I mean, you say that about any player in fantasy. Say Bijan has 2 bad weeks. What's the indicator? He didn't play well for 2 weeks. His name is Bijan Goddamn Robinson. So his name is Joe Burrow. At some point, Joe Burrow is going to wake up. He's not dead. So
well,
that's the
I
indicator. There's
also
a
think
body of work there.
if we're talking about Burrow versus Purdy, look, you know what the problem was last week in that game with the Colts? Now it's going to be different, but Philip Rivers wasn't pushing the ball downfield. It was a low
Yeah.
scoring game. Like it limited everybody, right? Like I sit here and I say like I don't think the Colts push this game to be high scoring and it limits Purdy. Like that's really the concern. If it was Daniel Jones in this game, you might have a completely different mindset on who you want to play.
Mhm.
Um, so I think that's Aaron. So Aaron, we appreciate the super chat. Unknown ball nowhere 99. What's going on? Said Saints defense or Broncos defense. Yeah, I'm going with the Saints defense this week. I have Saints. I got to be transparent. Like I'm going back and forth with Saints Bills a lot this week. I did have the Eagles ranked at 4. I had the Rams ranked at 5. So those have came while the Rams gave up a lot of points, depending on what your scoring is, they got 4 sacks and then 3 turnovers. So they should have still came through for you. And then the Eagles, of course, played well last night too. So we started off pretty solid. I had the Packers ranked 18. I had the Bears at 26. But I have Saints at 2. I have Bills at 3. I had Bills at 3. I had Saints. I had Bills and Saints swapped, but then I swapped them yesterday, and I'm going back and forth here, man. Like, I definitely like Saints better than Broncos. I, s- I, man, it's just the thought of Brady Cook going into, on the road in that environment right now. That just has me kind of licking my chops. I know Bills defense is solid, but I'm gonna go with the Saints. Um, I'm gonna go with the Saints still. But yeah,
You don't have
Saints
to
over Broncos.
respond to this, Pete, but just off topic,
Yeah,
Murakami signed with the White Sox. So good times.
yeah. So you're telling me that he followed this sports team
Yeah.
on Instagram didn't come to fruition? How many fucking
Son,
times do we see that and it just never happens?
son of a gun.
Man,
Really
good
quick before you
signing
get
for
into
them.
the next chat, I do want to mention I'm putting a link to our DraftKings contest, $5 entry. We got about 5 or 6 people in there right now. Join, winner takes all. Should be a good time. Sorry, Pete. With that, you can
No, you're good. That's
proceed.
also good news for the other Japanese pitcher if you're the White Sox, because they were rumored the White Sox were the more. I mean, Philly needs to get into that market, man, but they have no Japanese players, and so it's hard. Like you come to a city, don't speak the language, and then
Yeah.
you have nobody on your team that speaks your language, and
Philadelphia is gross.
New York isn't a bad spot for it because there are, it's much more culturally diverse, right?
Yeah.
And LA makes a lot of sense too because of the time zone
Time
to
zone.
Japan and all that shit, which we talked about before. But anyway, this is not a baseball show, but
Nope.
we mix it in sometimes.
Anthony would have yelled
JPO
at us.
Jam. Yeah, Anthony would have yelled at us. JPO Jam said pick 1.5 PPR. Brees Hall, Rico Dowdle, Michael Carter, Ashton Genty. And then I got Puka. Thank you. Good luck this week. So if you got Puka, you're looking for ceiling, you're looking for upside here. I mean, that's the bottom line. Um, it, if you're looking for ceiling, you're looking for upside. I I still like
Don't
Michael
do it.
Carter, but
Okay.
I think it's Hall, right? I mean, if you're looking for ceiling upside and you got Puka, I mean, you're playing on a prayer right now. But honestly, I wouldn't even say Hall because again, you're
Yeah.
right, Mike. You're just banking on priors on Hall with the upside thing. I mean, we've seen nothing that makes us think he has upside.
That's the one thing to the question earlier about you haven't seen Burrow do anything for 2 weeks. What gives you the indicator? When you look at Brees Hall this year, I mean, I don't see a ceiling play, man. I mean, he's had 1 week with 31.9 points in half point formats. That's the only game in which he's had 20 or more points. He's had 7 games with less than 10 points. He's had 3 games with less than 5 points. So it doesn't scream ceiling to me at all. And I know you pivoted back on that.
Yeah. No, but that's
Shit.
you catch yourself, right? I'm
Yeah.
thinking of Brees Hall years past what we've seen with his highest ceiling, but
Sure.
that's not today. I mean, again, I
Yeah.
just laid out why the
Not this
Saints
whole
defense
year.
are a good play. Rookie quarterback, a late round quarterback, going on his second start of his career in a hostile environment. Like what that doesn't scream to me ceiling, right? Now let's talk about Ashton Genty. Ceiling? Absolutely not. It's got to be Rico Dowdle and Michael Carter. I would go
Yeah.
Rico Dowdle here for the ceiling. I like Michael Carter more this week. I think he's got a similar ceiling, but Rico Dowdle has done it more. We've seen him do it more. And that game could really, really be zero defense. Where Michael Carter's game with the Falcons, I could see there being a little bit more defense in that one than the other one. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I'm going Rico Dowdle on this spot. Yeah, I mean, I would love to say Brees Hall, but you just illustrate the point. Can't do it.
Yeah.
Not in good faith. Can't do it. So yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
Rico's the play.
All right. Let's see. What do we got? What do
Feel
we
free to
got?
slap that like button, by the way. We got 43 people watching, 13 likes.
Yeah, and the super chats we're really giving a lot of context to. So I know there's a couple that are still waiting. So, but we're trying to give you guys your money's worth here. So,
We'll
we
speed it up a
appreciate
bit,
it.
but we'll do a bit of both.
The show off $5 super chat for Dante Moore. I like this. This is Dante Moore, quarterback for the Oregon Ducks. He's he's looking good. I think there's a real shot he comes out this year from a college standpoint. I mean, if he came out I don't. I mean, Mendoza would be number one, but there's a
Sure.
real there's a real argument that he could actually, in my opinion, I know Mendoza won the Heisman, but there's a world where with the tools and all these NFL teams like tools so much that Dante Moore could go ahead of him. And this is me, talking and not saying he will or he should, but
Mhm.
what we've seen in the past with NFL GMs and front offices, and they fall in love with these traits. But
Um,
my projection. Go ahead.
no, I was just going to say to your point. I mean, things can scripts can flip like when you get to an NFL combine. Remember, Anthony Richardson basically boosted all of his draft stock just in one combine. But yeah, I'll be honest here. I don't look at a ton of college up until like the fantasy football playoffs end. So after that is over, then that's when I'll start digging into some of these college players.
Yeah,
But I mean, I hear good things. I still think Mendoza's number one. But yeah,
yeah, but we'll see. I will start digging into prospects more once the season's over. So I'll have a ton more content on that, especially over at Player Profiler. Um, Let's see. Sean Tia Rushing said, "Good morning, full PPR. One quarterback: Burrow, Brissett, May. One running back: Chase Brown, ETN, Aaron Jones. Two wide receivers: Evans, Chase, Michael Wilson, and a flex. Other league: Lamar and Purdy." Yeah, I mean, I think it's Drake May for me here. He's going up against the Ravens. Ravens have looked better. Let me just verify though, because I did move around my quarterback rankings a little bit. Yeah, I still have Drake May at 4. I have Jared Goff at 3 this week. Um, but yeah, I would go with Drake May here, Mike. I would for the running backs. Honestly, I didn't love Chase Brown, but the more and more I thought about it, I've started to like him a little bit more. I still have him at RB 13 this week. I have Travis Etienne at RB 8. He's just been on fire. I know Denver has been good as a great defense, but Josh Jacobs was able to have a solid week against them last week. I think Travis Etienne can do it again.
I'm going. I'm actually going to go Jacoby Brissett in this spot. I mean, since he became the starter, he's pretty much been the model of consistency in terms of fantasy football. 9 games, 4 of them with over 20 points, averaging 20.5 points per game. I mean, there's other great names there. I could see May outplaying Brissett. I know that world exists. I don't have them ranked that far apart, but I'll go Jacoby Brissett in this spot. And he needs one running back. Yeah. The one running back, I'm going Travis Etienne. He's been playing on fire. I like the matchup again this week. He played great last week, obviously, against the Jets. That wasn't too difficult. And wide receivers, I'll go Chase and and he needs a flex. All right. So if he needs 2 wide receivers, I'll go Chase, Evans, and then I'll flex Michael Wilson. Right? Because
Yeah,
he needs 2 wide
Evans,
receivers, one
Evans,
flex.
Evans, Chase for me, and then I would go Michael Wilson as well. And then for the
Yeah.
last question, Lamar or Purdy. Yeah, I'm going with Lamar Jackson. I have him at quarterback 7. I have Purdy at quarterback 11 after I made my adjustments, but I'm going with Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, I could go Lamar Jackson, but that's pretty close for me. But I'll go Lamar in that spot as well.
Yeah, I just think more competitive game. Patriots are down some of their better players
Colts
on
defense is
defense.
tough too. You know,
Yeah, but they've ever since they lost Milton Williams on the D line, and then they have no Robert Spillane, who's been their best linebacker in the middle. So it's tough. Michael Levchenko said thoughts on Nico 2 touchdown bet. Um, I'm not really jazzed about I don't really love 2 touchdown bets unless they're running backs, to be honest. So I would probably not place that, but he could. I mean, Nico has been great, but the target share is not there for Nico right now. So that's, I mean, you're really playing on high efficiency if you're banking on 2 touchdowns. I'd rather take a chance on, like a Michael Wilson, which sounds crazy, but I just think the volume will be there more.
Yeah, I'm sure the odds are probably sweet on it, but I could envision it happening, but I don't know if I'd bet my money on it. But I mean, last 3 weeks, I mean, the Raiders defense has allowed the wide receivers 31.2, 28.4, 21 in there. There are some touchdowns involved in that scoring. So yeah, I don't think I'd place the bet, but I also don't hate it. I'd imagine it's part of a elaborate parlay.
Okay. So we have a couple more super chats here, and then what I'm gonna do while we're gonna bring up a couple of interesting storylines. Last week we went for 2 hours. We might go 2 hours depending on how the chat goes. We'll see, but we're gonna talk about some interesting storylines. I know Audric Estime is a big one. Who to trust there? Evan Hull, Estime, right? We'll talk about the Bucks receivers. We talked about them a little bit before, so we'll talk about some interesting storylines for fantasy. And that way, maybe we answer some questions and just provide some more context instead of just start sit. So we'll add some of that as well here. We're just getting through all these super chats, and we very much appreciate it. Everyone that's been here, make sure you hit that like button, you subscribe. We're at 59 on YouTube. We're at 8. We're at over 800 on Twitter. So very much appreciate it. Unknown ball knower with another super chat said, Carter on the bench. I have Rico, Judkins, and Hampton. Yeah, I have Judkins and Hampton ahead of Michael Carter and Rico. I am a little bit skittish with Judkins, Mike. We've seen him really he hasn't really had that ceiling in a while, and he goes up against a Buffalo team. And I was high on Judkins. I continue to drop him a little bit more in my rankings. I still have Judkins. I have Hampton ahead of Judkins with no Quinn Williams now, but I have Judkins at 2, and then I have Michael Carter ahead of Rico. But I'm okay if you want to go Rico, Judkins, Hampton. But Judkins is getting a little skittish for me. I know he's got the
Enough
great
to do
matchup.
Carter though, or
What'd you say?
are you debating doing Carter over Judkins, or are you just stating you're concerned about Judkins in general?
I'm tempering my expectations. If you need a ceiling play, I know it feels like it's Buffalo. The ceiling's there, but I mean, look at what Judkins has done the last couple weeks, man. It hasn't really
Yeah.
been great. I mean, and you're looking at him like he's a volume play, but this game can get out of hand very quickly for the Browns with this Bills team, and then they get into a passing game script. And what did Judkins do last week against Chicago when they lost 3-31? Judkins had 12 carries for 21 yards. A week before that against Tennessee, 14 carries, 26 yards. Right? I mean, the 17 carries, 59 yards. 23 carries, 91 yards, 16 carries, 47, 9 for 19, 12 for 36. I mean, there's been 21 for 82. There's been so many games this year where he's seen like between 15 and 20 carries, and he's had under 50 yards rushing.
Yeah.
So
Only
I know it's
only two
Bills,
games with
but
10 or more points in the 6 games since their bye week, which is not great.
yeah. So I'm going back and forth. I'm still going to put Judkins out there. I'm okay going Carter over Rico. I think Carter's just as much of a risk than Judkins. I just think that honestly, I think Carter provides more upside than Judkins. But I think Carter, we haven't seen it enough with the volume to be like, yeah, like got to start him over Judkins this week.
Yeah.
But I'm okay if you want to go Rico over Carter, but I have it Carter over Rico. But that's fine.
Yeah. I got Rico over Carter. So yeah, Carter would stay there for me on the bench, but yeah. I think it's funny how we said we'll still play Judkins, but we just fucking dog walked him for about 5 minutes. But,
I know. It's just yeah. I mean, gotta just yeah.
Right.
Vic
No,
said, fellas, gotta start too. Michael Carter, Pollard, Jennings, or BTJ. Yeah, this one's easy for me. It's Jennings and it's Michael Carter. I don't love Tony Pollard today. I think it's a low game script. I know he's been really good, but run defense for Casey's been good. And Casey's also missing a lot of defenders, which is a little sketchy, Hoff. But I'm not starting Pollard or BTJ over either of those guys.
yeah, and if BTJ had a better matchup, I would like to go BTJ, but I don't like the matchup, so therefore I'm not going with that. I am going Michael Carter. I am going Jennings. Um, Surprise, surprise. Tell me if you heard this before, but Ricky Pearsall's out. I think that speaks well for Jennings. I even think Kendrick Bourne's a little sneaky today, too, if you're
Hmm.
desperate enough at the position. But yeah,
Don't they play Monday night?
Monday night, yeah. And if the Niners lose on prime time to Philip Rivers, I probably won't be on social media much the next day. FYI. And I'll be right back.
I'll get to some of these. Iggy said Dolphins, Bucks, Jags, Falcons, or Titans. Also Woody or Henderson. Yeah, I'm going Henderson. I'm not. I know a lot of people are high on Woody Marks, but with the injury and just with him not coming through and smash spots, I'm not high on Woody this week. As for the defenses here, it's really between Titans and the Falcons for me. I like the Titans. Titans are going to be the defense I would pick here. I factor in wide receivers are banged up. Gardner Minshew in 5 pass attempts threw 1 interception last week. The offensive line's an absolute mess. Gardner Minshew does play hero ball, so maybe he gets a couple of good throws down the field, but I ultimately think he can make some mistakes and he'll take some sacks. So I like the Titans in this one. I think it's a really high floor with some solid ceiling as well. Alfredo, what's going on? So who should I flex and wide receiver to? Mitchell, Estime, Jaden Higgins, T. Higgins. I don't know if he's playing. Yeah, I mean you're putting T. Higgins out there. I think he's definitely going to play. So I would feel confident in that. And then between uh, the running backs here, for the flex here, it would still be I think it gets 80 Mitchell actually. If it's Michael Carter, it's Michael Carter for me. If it's 80 Mitchell, I'm gonna go with Audric Estime here. I happen to like 80 Mitchell this week. I wish I could get him up higher in my rankings, but I just couldn't. But I'm going with Audric Estime. The concern about Audric Estime, and I'll just talk about it now since we were gonna talk about it at some point, but Evan Hull is really the receiving back, and Audric Estime did not really. Audric Estime was not really the receiving back ever, and he caught 3 passes last week. Evan Hull caught 0. 1 full week of practice where both guys are practicing to have a role in this game, I think shifts that back to Evan Hull being the receiving guy. There's a lot of variance between what could happen between Estime, Higgins, and Mitchell. If you're looking for a very low floor but a very high ceiling, it's AD Mitchell for sure. It's hard to not like what you saw him do with the rookie last week. But if you're looking for more of like a 8 points, like an 8 point floor. Estimate gives you the best floor, and then Estimate's ceiling is probably somewhere around 15 points. That's probably the max you're getting from Estimate. Jaden Higgins is somewhere in the middle. Like you're probably looking at like a 4 for 60 game from Jaden Higgins, hoping for a touchdown. So yeah, I mean, if you're looking for a 10 point game, with not a ton of ceiling, I think Higgins would make sense there. But I think he has a little bit more ceiling than Estime, and I think AD Mitchell has the highest ceiling, lowest floor, and I think Estime is the safest floor but the lowest ceiling. So my answer there would be ceiling play AD Mitchell, safe play, low ceiling, Estime, middle-ish ceiling, but not as high of a floor would be Jaden Higgins. And then you're definitely starting T Higgins.
Yeah,
Let's go to the next one here. We'll start
sure.
fresh since I kind of hammered that. Morning Gents from RS said PPR pick one: Gainwell, Michael Carter, Woody, even if active, worried about re-injury with Chubb as well. Jalen Warren, Diggs, and Worthy. You know, Kenneth Gainwell has creeped up more and more in my rankings. I like these running backs for the Steelers. I'm still going Michael Carter here, but Gainwell is interesting. I'm not starting Diggs over Gainwell or Michael Carter, but it's between those two guys for me.
I'm going Gainwell in this spot. I like Gainwell. I like the PPR aspect. Michael Carter would be the next man up for me. I agree with the whole Woody playing and what happens if he gets re-injured. You could be left with a dud. And I would prefer Gainwell over Jalen Warren, especially in PPR. I'd go Gainwell in the spot. Again, we're talking about a game, 52.5 points is the over-under, the highest of the Sunday slate. So yeah, I would go Gainwell slightly over Michael Carter.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. For what it's worth, I'm like right there with Gainwell and Rico.
Yeah.
I would start Kenneth Gainwell over Aaron Jones, Brees Hall, Audric Estime, Tony Pollard, Woody Marks, Ashton Genty. Ashton Genty's my RB 30 this week. And that almost feels too high, to be honest with you.
Hmm.
That's how low I
Interesting.
am on
It's
Genty.
been
But
been a rough
workload,
year for the Raiders.
yeah, work with the workload and everything else, it's very hard not to have him up there. Johnny said Brees Hall or Michael Carter. Well, kind of just talked about it a little bit, but Michael Carter for me, the offense. We're talking about game script here, offense wise. I think I honestly think the Saints offense could have a nice day today, and maybe that helps Brees Hall in the passing game. But Brees Hall's shown me nothing to be confident in him today against the stingy Saints defense. And Michael Carter is going to be in a higher scoring game. I have more faith that the value and the quality of the touches for Carter will be much better than the ones that Brees Hall gets.
Yeah, yeah. We've talked a ton about Michael Carter, so I'll keep it short and sweet. I'm going Michael Carter over Brees.
Okay. Johnny sent in a super chat, and then he sent the questions in the chat. It says, let me.
Thank you for all the super chats, by the way, everybody.
Johnny said Jalen Warren or Carter. So we just talked about this. I'm still going
Mhm.
Michael Carter. Oh, well, we talked about Gainwell. I'm going Michael
Yeah,
Carter. You talk about a guy that's losing high value touches. Jalen Warren has lost the high value touches. I mean, Kenneth Gainwell is catching the passes when that was a lot of what Jalen Warren was making his bread and butter with, and now he's not getting those, and it's going to Gainwell. So I'm going with Michael Carter here, Hoff.
yeah. I'm going Michael Carter as well. I mean, again, I think this is going to be more of a passing game, which I think bodes well for Kenneth Gainwell, not as much Jalen Warren. So yeah, I'm taking Michael Carter.
Now, I'm curious to see what you have to say here. Johnny also said
Mm.
Waller or Harrison in the flex. Um, I'm going with Marvin Harrison Jr. I know Waller feels like he makes a lot of sense. I actually, yeah, I'm still going to go with Marv. I have Marv ranked at 21. I talked about it. The Falcons last 5 weeks are giving up 48 points to wide receivers. Marv with the heel is a little bit sketchy, and maybe I have to factor that in a little bit more into the rankings if he's possibly limited in any way. Um, yeah, I guess I honestly, I guess I maybe would go with Darren Waller, but it's tough,
Hmm.
man. I mean, again, I talked about it before, but like
Talk
you gotta
yourself
hope he
into it.
scores a touchdown.
Talk yourself into it. Keep going.
You gotta
I'm
hope he
waiting for you to
scores a
get there.
touchdown. I'll go with Waller. I'm gonna drop Marv down in my rankings behind Lad.
Yeah.
I'm gonna move Marv to 27. I know that feels like a big jump, but I'll play Waddle, I'll play Jefferson, I'll play Jacoby, I'll play Wandale, I'll play Lad all over Marv. Just because it's really about the injury, the heel injury. I do worry that he could be a little bit limited today.
Yeah, I literally waited the moment you said Harrison. I literally waited for you to talk yourself out of it, so I just let you just go. Yeah, I'm going Darren Waller. Listen, both players come in with their risks. We got Quinn Ewers in his first NFL start. We got Marvin Harrison, who literally has done little to nothing in his career, as opposed to what he was hyped up as, and he's coming off the injury. But again, I said it earlier. Bengals are historically bad against the tight end position. Half point formats, they've allowed 276.7 points. The next worst team, the Steelers, with 201. That's 75 more points being allowed to tight ends. 6 games with 20 or more points allowed. The next worst team has 4 games with 20 or more points allowed.
Oh, would you start Waller over Brock Bowers today?
I think I fucking would, actually, to be honest with you. But I think you're getting to my ceiling there at that point. But
Would you play Gadsden over Brock Bowers?
no, I don't know if I could do that. I don't know if I could do that.
I have Bowers at 9 this week. I have Waller
Okay.
ahead of him, Kyle
Yeah.
Pitts. I had Loveland. I had Travis Kelce. I had Dallas Goedert, Harold Fannin, George Kittle, Trey McBride.
Yeah. No, I would go Waller over Bowers. So
Okay, I would too.
I mean, a young quarterback's best friend is what? It's a tight end. So I could see him leaning on him, especially if, God willing, the Dolphins get into the red zone.
Yeah. Um, Jose said Chimere DK or Tyrone Tracy return yards count. Um, yeah. So there is no There is no Trent McDuffie today, which is a huge deal. If return count yards count, I'm gonna go with Chimere DK. I think Tyron Tracy's a solid play this week, but if you're telling me that you get points for the return yards, I'm definitely gonna go with Chimere DK, who goes up against a defense without its best corner.
Yeah, same answer with return yards involved. I'm gonna go DK over Tracy. I don't expect Tracy to get 23.2 points like he did last week. Um, yeah, the return yards outweigh it.
Jordan, what's going on? Said half point PPR, flex spot, Genty, Waller, or Estime. Genty's odd man out here. I actually have Estime ahead of Genty. It's between Waller and Estime. If you want the safe play, go with Audric Estime. I think he's probably his variance is between 8 and 15 points. If you want the ceiling play, I think it's Darren Waller, who we've seen, can catch 2 touchdowns, and I could see him scoring a couple today. I could see Estime getting vultured at the goal line, but due to Taysom Hill and Evan Hull. So that lowers it. Where with Waller, there's not really many other options in the red zone compared to
Yep.
Waller. So I would say Waller's a ceiling play. I'd say if you want to play it safe, you go with Estime. Genty's the odd man out here. I'm happy to be burned by Genty, but this is a team that ran less than 40 plays last week. I know Geno Smith's in the game, but they're going up against the Texans, and I don't have a lot of faith in Genty. Next week against the Giants, yeah, I like
Yeah,
Genty a lot, but this
yeah.
week not so much.
I just started to chuckle as you were reading that question, and then you were ruling Genty out because I was like, imagine if you reverse the clocks back to like August when we're doing all of our drafts, and you're saying Genty's out against Darren Waller and Audric Estime, that's the world we're living in right now. But yeah, same deal for me. I'm going Darren Waller slightly over Estime. I get Estime is probably the safer play, but I do, like you kind of referenced a little bit there. I do worry about vulturing of touchdowns where I don't think that's going to be a situation for Waller if the Dolphins are in a position to score touchdowns. So I will go down Waller slightly overestimate, but it is a wild world we're living in where Genty's the odd man out there.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to start at We Buy Homes Near You. If you have a
Hey
question and it was
there.
not answered and it wasn't a super chat, just send it back in and we will answer it. But as always, if you send in a super chat, we'll make sure we prioritize you. But we also just don't want to go back. We're at 52 minutes and we got through 17 super chats. And when people pay, we try to give more context, right? So that's why it took us a while to get through it all. We Buy Homes Near You, though, said Kickerhoff,
Mm-hmm.
McLaughlin, or Eddie Pinheiro, or Little. You did have somebody on Twitter today, I did see, tweet at you, and they were a little confused why you did not have Little in your top 12 because they said he could kick a 70-yarder against Denver today. But what do
Yeah.
we think of it?
Well, I'll say this: there's two kickers every time I either put them in my rankings or don't. I get a comment with Cam Little. It's always, well, he could kick it from so far away, and if it's Jake Bates, it's, oh, well, the Lions always go for it on fourth down. It just that happens every time with the rankings. I
Yeah.
get it. Little's not dead to me. He's just outside my top 12. And keep in mind, when you're talking about kickers, when they're outside the top 12, they're usually getting around like 8 points anyway. So it's not a death sentence to put Cam Little in that spot. But I'm going Eddie Money here. I mean, last 4 weeks, the Colts have allowed 16, 9, 11, and then 24 points last week. Obviously, that game against Jason Myers and the Seahawks. I don't envision Eddie Money getting 24 points, though. So don't come at me when he doesn't get 20 points or more. But I will go Eddie Money in this spot.
Okay. Josh said, "Hey fellas, PPR pick one: Trey Henderson, Olave, or Jamison Williams." Um, Yeah, I mean, Jameson Williams has been phenomenal. I'm going with Jameson Williams against the Steelers. I have Chris Olave 11. I have JMO at 7. I actually think Henderson is the sketchiest play here because, look, I like Henderson. I've beat the drum for him before the season, during the season, all season. Now there was a point where it was a little sketchy there, and I said, look, if you're in a league that's got shallow benches, you may consider cutting him because it was tough for a while there. But Henderson Hoff is not going to rip off, 50, 60-yard touchdowns. He can do it anytime, but Ramondre Stevenson's still dominating the snaps. I mean, he's still getting more snaps. So to me, it's Jameson Williams. He's been phenomenal since Campbell took over the play calling, and he's got a good matchup against the Steelers.
Yeah, I got to be honest. I'm especially because it's PPR. I'm not even thinking about Travion Henderson in this spot, and I don't mean to disrespect him, but it's just a credit to, as you just illustrated, Jameson Williams and what he's been doing since Dan Campbell took over play calling. 22.9 points last week. He's actually had 20 or more points in 2 out of the last 3 weeks. That's half point scoring alone. So PPR, you obviously do the math, but I'll say Jameson Williams, but I do want to give an honorable mention to Chris Olave. I was really hard on him going into the year. Mainly, I was worried about the concussions. Right now, in terms of points scored, Olave is just ahead of Williams. But I would still go Jameson Williams in this spot. Again, you also want to go with the highest over under. That's a big indicator as to what might happen in that game because Vegas knows what they're
Yeah.
talking about.
Usually if I'm really torn on two players and they're like dead even for me, I like to look at the totals in the games and say, you know what game is going to have a higher point total? That's going to give me more opportunities for points, and that's usually how I make a tiebreaker if I'm really dead even on two guys.
Sure.
Brandon says Emike Egbuka or Harold Fannin. Now I did talk about tight ends, and I did say that, unless you're like a top 5 guy, like, you're really banking on a touchdown. I will go Harold Fannin here over Emike Egbuka. I have Harold Fannin as a top 5 play this week. Harold Fannin has I mean, he's been awesome, right? I mean, he's been awesome in terms of the volume he's getting. Now, he's tight end 4 for me this week, but I think he's got like 20 targets over the last 2 weeks. Now, it's kind of similar to Emike Egbuka in that a lot of targets and maybe not the ceiling that we're hoping for. But I think Harold Fannin against the Bills, who are tough against tight ends, but they are. I don't know if they're banged up or not. I don't know if Bernard is playing. But regardless, you expect a game script where they're playing from behind, and I mean, Fannin, the volume is just too hard to ignore. 14 targets, 11 targets the last 2 weeks off. I mean, he's given you probably a floor of at least 12 points today, and he's got a solid ceiling. Where Egbuka, he hasn't scored over 11 points in a long time. So, yeah, I'm going Harold Fannin here.
Yeah, I'm going Harold Fannin here as well. I wanted to look this up quick. Yeah, over the last 2 games, you mentioned it, at least 20 targets. He said 25 targets. That accounts for 36% of the Browns' targets over the last 2 games. It's hard to deny that kind of opportunity. So yeah, give me Harold Fannin in this spot pretty comfortably, might I add.
We have a super chat from Scott. Said going against Puka, which is
Hmm,
important to note. Said
sorry about that.
Gadsden or Darren Waller. No Quentin Johnson today. Still prefer Darren Waller, especially if you're chasing a very high ceiling. Hoff noted it, but I mean the Bengals. I'm pretty sure there was something out there. I think it was from Coop on Twitter, Coop Fiasco, and who's a tight end guy, and he was talking about how I think the Bengals defense. It's like a top 5 defense in points allowed at the tight end position like ever this year.
Yeah,
So
it's historic.
you know,
Yeah.
yeah. So you want to talk about ceiling? You're playing against Puka. I don't even if it's a rookie quarterback. Waller is giving you the highest ceiling. Now he might feel a little riskier because of the quarterback situation. I do like Gadsden this week, but I'm still going to go with Darren Waller, especially if you're chasing points.
Yeah, I'm still going down Waller too. Again, it's all about the matchup. Bengals have only had 2 games in which they've allowed less than 10 points to the opposing tight end position. So yeah, it's pretty comfortably again Darren Waller.
Thank you for the super chat. Zutney said, "Hello, gents. Javante Williams, Chase Brown as my RB2 need upside against Puka Nakua." So I do think Chase Brown could have a solid game today. I mean, Dolphins defense has been very, very good against running backs, but let's think about the game here. You got T. Higgins, Jamar Chase on the outsides. That's helped Chase Brown when Burrow came back and when Flacco was in there. Once they got a competent quarterback, it lightens the boxes because of the elite talent on the outsides, which I think will happen for Chase Brown here. But if you're talking ceiling for me, I'm going to go with Javante Williams here, Hoff, who's been really, really good this year. He's going to be in a game that's going to be very high scoring and I think competitive. Whereas I don't know that, the Bengals, there's T. Higgins, there's Jamar Chase, like those guys could eat today. And whereas in the Chargers game, their secondary is awesome, right? It may force Javante in the red zone to be the guy that's looked upon to score.
Yeah, I'm going Javante Williams here. Obviously, he avoided injury last week. Thank God for that. But yeah, I do think this is a high scoring affair here between Dallas and the Chargers. So Brown's not a bad play, but I'll go with the consistency of what we've been getting from Javonte Williams. Uh, Last few weeks 15.5, 13.7, 15.1. I'll take those numbers into this matchup.
Okay. Tom said pick two between Pickens, Olave, Mike Evans.
Ooh.
Yeah, comfortably for me, it's Olave and Mike Evans. What about you, Off?
That's what initially popped in my head, but damn it, I hate sitting Pickens. But I mean, yeah, I like them. I mean, we saw what happened to the Jets last week. They got absolutely torched in every which way. It's hard to go against that. All right. Yep. I would probably sit Pickens, and I hate it.
Yeah. Well, look, you can't. You know, we, it's do or die, man. I mean, I
Yeah,
understand
man.
people will say don't get cute, but I talked about it on the Player Profiler show with Matt. You know, Michael Carter plays Cincinnati in week 17. Nico Collins plays the Chargers in week 17. Like, I, I I think, yeah, I would go with Michael Carter against the Bengals over Nico Collins against the Chargers. Like, especially when you look at like the numbers and you don't want to get too cute. I get it, but also I'm not just starting like say Justin Jefferson because of the name value and you say, "Oh, well, I can't bench my stud." Is the guy a stud or was he a stud? Like, I mean, that's the thing. Not to say Justin Jefferson's not a stud in the actual NFL terms, but for fantasy, he's not a stud. It's
Right.
not the case. And I think with Pickens, we've seen he hasn't been a stud the last 2 weeks. Can Pickens have a good day? I talked about it. Yes, I think he's probably in line for 12 points. I think he can have a nice game with all the talk that's going on with him, but I'm going with Olave. It's a great matchup for him. I'm going with Mike Evans. At least we've seen Olave do it all year long, and Mike Evans one game back with Baker Mayfield against his old team. I don't know how you sit that guy down. I just don't know how you do it.
Yep. No, I get it. You said all the right things. Yeah, I would be sitting Pickens here, but I hate it. But again, you're right.
Nolly said Worthy or Theo Johnson. This is Worthy for me.
Yep.
Sure, Theo Johnson has been solid this year, Hoff, but we talked about it. Worthy has the higher ceiling here. I don't love Worthy this week, but he's got way higher ceiling. And Theo Johnson, same with most tight ends. If you're not scoring a touchdown, you're probably not going to pay off. Or with Worthy, he could pay off. He doesn't. He might not
Sure.
need as many touches to come through for us.
Yeah, no, I'm going Worthy here in this spot pretty comfortably. But I mean, I will give some credit the way of Theo Johnson. I mean, among the disappointment that's been the Giants season, hasn't been a bad tight end in general for NFL purposes and for fantasy purposes, just outside the top 12 and half point scoring. But yeah, I'm going with Worthy here. I feel like there's a higher ceiling there. So pretty comfortably.
Perfect.
Just wanted to give some love to Theo, that's all.
Yeah, Theo's been good, man. He's been good.
Yeah,
He's probably somebody really, really worth buying in Dynasty.
sure.
Um, let's see. Torn and Breeze said half PPR, Jacoby Brissett, Joe Burrow, standard Woody or Michael Wilson. Yeah, I'm going Michael Wilson if it's standard. For the quarterbacks here, I prefer Burrow. I'm okay going Jacoby Brissett because we've seen it consistently on a week in, week out basis off. We've talked about both of these quarterbacks, so I'm not going to harp on it too much, but
Yeah.
I'm still going to go with Burrow here. But I think both are really, really good plays. And if you want the safe play, it probably is Jacoby Brissett, who's given it to us consistently.
Yeah, I'm going Jacoby Brissett here. Which again is something I also didn't think that I would be saying at this point of the season between Joe Burrow and Jacoby Brissett. But I mean, Jacoby Brissett, I mean, since he became the Cardinal starter, he's third. He's the QB3 right now. So it's hard to ignore that. So I'm going to go the stability of Jacoby over the potential high ceiling blowout, 3 touchdown passes from Burrow.
Dustin said, guys, half point PPR, sit one, Sutton, Judkins, T. Higgins. Yeah, I'm sitting Judkins here. I want Sutton and Higgins in my lineup. Sutton has, in my opinion, he has top 5 potential this week in this matchup. I think this could be the highest scoring game on the week.
Top five
So
potential, huh?
yeah, I mean, yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I look at the matchup against the Jaguars. I think it's a good matchup for them. I think it's going to be high scoring. I'll let you take the kickers, and I mean, you tell me. I mean, are you going any other way in the first part of the question?
No, I'm not going any other way in terms of the first question. I just you raised my eyebrows in the potential top 5 week there for Sutton. But but hey, whatever. I mean, the matchup is there. So, but be that as it may, kicker here, I'm going Will Reichert over Blake Group, or right? Is it Blake Group? Is that his first name? Jesus, I'm just whiffed there. But yeah, I'm going over Group here. The 49ers are allowing the second fewest points to kickers. They've had 5 games of which they've allowed less than 5 points to the position. I would rather go Reichert in the spot. The Vikings offense is showing some signs of life. And if I'm pulling this up here, Will Reichert last week, I believe, was one of a handful of kickers that finished with 10 or more points. I'm just getting that here. Where am I? Yeah. 12 points last week, 7 points a week prior. Did have a dud in there with 0, but then had 10 points. So, yeah, I'm going Will Reichert over here. I know Blake Group had 14 points last week, but yeah, it's the matchup for me.
Sure. Brandon said thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Crispy said Flowers versus New England, Hampton versus Dallas, half point. Yeah, I'm going Hampton here comfortably.
Yeah, the first
Flowers,
downs.
volatility,
Mhm.
yeah, I'm going Hampton comfortably. And even if you weren't getting the premium half, I'd still go Hampton.
I'd probably still go Hampton too, but it makes it a lot more clear of a race in terms of
Sure.
who I'd pick here. But yeah, I would go Hampton as well with that half a point for rushing first down.
Um, let's see. Michael said, "Are we starting Estime or Holt?" Yeah, I mean you're starting Estime for
You're
sure.
starting this. Yeah.
Over Holt this week.
Yeah, you
Let's
are.
see. Drake Foster said 14-man PPR. Who do I play in the flex? Tracy Fannin, Judkins. I'm gonna go with Harold Fannin again here. Um, over Judkins. I think it's tricky saying that honestly because Fannin's gotten so much work, but I'm gonna go
Mhm.
with Fannin. I think game script might be bad, good for us. And I'll take Fannin. I think they'll be playing from behind. I'll take my chances there. Sure, Judkins might get more. Will probably get more touches for sure on the ground, but I think Fannin will get the higher quality ones when they're down and they're looking to push the ball downfield.
I think I'm going to go Tyrone Tracy in this spot. Slightly over Fannin. Judkins would be the odd man out for me because of the volume that we talked about with Fannin earlier. But this Vikings defense is tough, but I mean, they've allowed 20 more points to running backs in 3 out of the last 4 games. Most notably, week 12, they allowed 31.6. So, and what? They've had 8 games with 20 or more points. A bunch of them have come since their bye week. So, yeah, I would actually go Tyrone Tracy in this spot.
Okay.
It's close, though.
Robert, what's going on? Said Flex 2, Hall, Coker, Gadsden, tight end premium. Yeah, I'm going the 2 Chargers, guys. I'll go Hampton,
Yeah.
I'll go Gadsden, especially with the premium.
Yep, I was, and you're going to ask, is that a concern because it's 2 players from the same team? I mean, considering your options, no, it's not. So, yeah.
Justin, full PPR, Dowdle or Tracy. I think I have these guys neck and neck. I want to say that I have Tracy ahead of Dowdle this week. Yeah, I have Tracy at 21. I have Dowdle at 23. I mean, it's if you go with your gut though. If your gut says Dowdle, go Dowdle. They're close enough where I'm not going to sit here and say it's very clear that it's one guy over the other. But I prefer Tracy this week.
Yeah, I just answered somebody earlier on Twitter. I don't know if it was about Tracy, but yeah, I'm actually flipping that. Yeah, I am going Tyrone Tracy over Rico Dowdle. So I'm replying back to that person now.
By the way, I don't know if you remember this, but it popped up on my feed today,
All
and
right.
if you're an Eagles fan, you might get a kick out of it. But there was this video from the. Can you hear this?
Oh yeah.
Right? Excuse my language. But what we want
This
to
is
do
the
tonight,
video
we did.
of the
We
Commanders
took
fans when they
over this
came
place.
into Philly,
It's an Italian restaurant.
and
We took the place over.
they took over like a restaurant.
Took over the Hard Rock.
That's funny. That's adorable.
Hey, congrats on the Hard Rock.
Poor guy.
Great takeover last night.
Wait, look at tailgate. I don't know what it's a tailgate TO or I don't know.
Yeah,
What I
that's
said.
funny. Just took over a restaurant. Guys, the 49ers do that every week. Don't worry about the take over a restaurant. Good for you.
Leave it to you.
Well, and
You
not
gotta
even the
find, you
night.
gotta find a way to throw the 49ers in there.
Well, I'm just saying because they're a good traveling team. I was about to say you could literally talk about any road team. They all get together and they'll all occupy a restaurant and they take it over. Like this isn't unheard of. It's not like, oh God, Commander's first team ever take over a restaurant.
Yeah.
Like, shut the fuck up. Get out of here. That was
Oh
weak.
man,
Jesus.
that's good stuff.
He took over a
Clickety
restaurant.
clack.
Whoop de doo.
Well,
Nerds.
look, they were excited, man. They I don't even know. Maybe there was that last year.
Probably the most exciting thing to happen to the Commanders this year. But
They
whatever.
lost by 30 the next day. That was what they lost by 30 the next day. By the way.
But hey, get that restaurant, Bill.
Yeah.
That's it.
Clickety
Nerds.
clack said full spot need one full PPR flex spot need one full
Mhm.
PPR. Travis Etienne, Juwan Jennings, Kenneth Gainwell. I'm actually pretty tight here between Jennings and Travis Etienne Hoff. I am going to go Travis Etienne. I think more points in this game. I think it'll be more advantageous for offense. Where Jennings, look, I'm not saying that the 49ers are going to beat the doors off the Colts. I actually think that could be a close game, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But I also don't know that the offense, they're going to have to push the pedal on offense. Where with Travis Etienne, I think there'll be more chances for him to score.
Yeah, I'm going Travis Etienne's actually pretty comfortably. I'm just reading Marcus Freeman of formerly of Notre Dame is expected to be a top candidate for the Giants. Anyway, give me
Good
Travis
hire.
Etienne in the spot. Has had 50 points over the last 2 weeks and half-point scoring, and has had at least 19 points in 4 out of the last 5 weeks. So I'm going to go Travis Etienne there. It's pretty comfortably. And I agree with you. I think that Niner game can be close because that Colts defense, and I know you said they've had some injuries, but they're still not bad, that Colts defense. So,
Yeah. I think they got DeForest Buckner back today.
yes, they did. Yeah, he's back.
We buy homes near you said non PPR. Gibbs is a lock in the lineup. Yeah, of course. Had Kyron play Thursday. Bummer. Start one flex Hampton, Aaron Jones, Trevion Henderson. I played Jacobs last night. Yeah, I mean that's tough. You pretty much got
Yes.
pretty crappy games from Jacobs and Kyron. I'm going with Hampton here. I think the red zone touches will be there for him. I think they'll have opportunities down there. I think the Justin Herbert hand thing. I think they finally we're hitting week 3 now. I think they'll be a little bit better, maybe to open it up a little bit. And this is a good matchup. So I'm going Hampton here over all these guys,
Yeah,
especially not PPR.
yeah. Which, by the way, I have to mention at least one show. It is a soft point of fantasy football standard leagues, but yeah, I would pretty comfortably go Hampton there too.
Yeah, I mean, this is Hoff when you tell him that you play in a standard league.
Oh, hell no! That's hell no!
That's right. It's a literal worst. Don't do it.
Hoff hates it. He doesn't want to see that.
Nope.
Now it might not be standard, just not PPR. It could be half PPR.
Yeah. Whatever. Just got to put the message out there.
Kenny said full PPR, choose one. Marvin Harrison Jr., AD Mitchell, Estimate, or Worthy. I already have Michael Wilson. Yeah, I mean, that's a predicament, right? I'm open to starting Wilson and Marvin Harrison Jr. I think if you're going for ceiling, you go AD Mitchell. I think if you're going for a safer play, I think you go Audric Estime. But I am going to start Michael Wilson over Marv this week.
I'm going to go Adonai Mitchell in this spot. I don't want to touch Marvin Harrison Jr. I just don't. I'm at the point with him where I need to physically see it, and I get he was out for a couple weeks, but I need to physically see it from him before I plug him back into my lineup.
Yeah, I agree. Jay Reyes said, please help Burrow or May. I think we're both on May this week. Pick one, any two, Wandale, Harvey, Fannin, and Michael Carter. Thanks. Yeah, I'll go with Michael. I mean, I'm sorry. I'll go with Harvey and Fannin here.
Yeah, I'll go Harvey and Fannin too, but I do think, despite the matchup, I do think Wandale is going to put up a decent performance. I just wanted to give that a little shout out, but yeah, I would say Harvey and Fannin over. Yeah.
Okay.
I know I've said it a couple times, and we can go on to the next question, but I really feel like I'm going to be a big Harvey guy going into next year.
Yeah. No,
I'm feeling it.
I'll be a big Harvey guy for sure. let's see, Keyshawn Boutte, Hunt, or Estime. I will go with Aldrick Estime.
Yeah, I go Audric Estimate. I mean, Butte could give you a big catch here and there, but I'd rather go with what could be a excuse me, decent volume share here. I'll go Estimate.
Hampton or Higgins? I'm going with Higgins comfortably.
As long as it's T. Higgins, yeah.
Yeah.
If it's Jaden, I go Hampton.
Yeah. Noah Carr, need 2 wide receivers to start. Who would you pick out of Pickens, London, Jennings, and Sutton? Yeah, I'm going to go with London, and I'm going to go with Cortland Sutton in that matchup.
I'm gonna go London, and I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go London, and I'm gonna go Pickens.
Wow. Okay, I thought you were going to say Jennings.
I was debating between those. I'm not as high on Sutton as you are this week. I don't hate Sutton. I'm just. I mean, I don't know. Top 5
You're a
week.
hater. You're a hater, dude. It's all right. What do you got? Well, where do you have him ranked?
I forget where I have him ranked, but I don't have him top 5.
I don't
Top
have him
5.
ranked top 5 either.
Jacksonville.
I did not say I had him ranked top 5. I said he could have a top 5 finish though.
Okay, all right. Well, I don't think he could have a top 5 week.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck was that? What was that? You all right? No?
I mean, I think you're underestimating it, but
Maybe I
see.
am. And if I am, then I hope this guy plays him, and I hope he's happy as a pig and shit. But I'm going Pickens, and I'm going London.
Whatever.
So, okay, good talk.
Connor said TJ Hawkinson or Brenton Strange. I'll go Brenton Strange here.
Yeah, I'll go Brenton Strange, but I got to be honest, man. It's been a little disappointing. We expected big things out of Brenton Strange. We hyped him up a couple shows ago, and I mean, he hasn't really done a ton. But I still like him over Hawkinson.
By the way, Cortland Sutton had 24 points last week.
Here we go with this now. Is this going to become a Cortland Sutton show? You want to?
No, I'm just saying.
All right.
Non-PPR.
You want to take over this podcast with Cortland Sutton, like the Commanders took over a restaurant? You want to do that?
T. Higgins, Igbuka, Diggs, Jettas for context playing against Jamar, Mike Evans, and Michael Wilson. Yeah, I mean, you go T. Higgins 10 times out of 10, and you go Justin Jefferson. I mean, non-PPR, Igbuka's not scoring touchdowns right now. Diggs is not scoring touchdowns right now. Jettas isn't either, but I'll go with Jettas, who I think has a good matchup and could very much see him scoring today. I wonder what the odds are for him to score a touchdown today are.
I will say, I love how you didn't even respond to me. You just started reading the question. And I agree with your answer there. Yeah. I mean, I can't, I'm not big on Ibuka this week. I'm just not. So.
Why not?
The returning names coming back. I am concerned about some of the drops we've seen. I know he's still going to get volume. I know he's not going to all of a sudden be, and the Buccaneers are fighting for their playoff lives, but I'm just, especially in terms of this question, I'm not in. I would probably take him over Diggs though. I would take him over Diggs, but I won't take him over Jetto or Higgins.
Justin Jefferson is only plus 135 to score today, so that means that Vegas thinks there's a good chance he's going to score. Which is crazy coming from a guy who has 2 touchdowns this year.
Yeah.
But hasn't scored. He scored one of those touchdowns week 1 and the other in week 9. So and he has doesn't have more than 50 yards in the last 3 games combined.
It's going to be fascinating to see how some of these fantasy football mock drafts look after the year that we've had from some of these first and second round picks.
I mean, Jefferson's probably not a first round pick next year.
Yeah.
I mean, let's answer this one and then we can talk about it. But sit one, RJ Harvey, Ladd McConkey, or Michael Wilson. Thank you. I'm sitting Ladd McConkey here out of these guys.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier, Ladd's just been super disappointing, man. Can't do it.
Yeah. So let's talk about. I mean, sometimes it's hard to mentally visualize, but let's just assume. Let's just talk about a couple of guys, right? So CMC, is he ahead of Justin Jefferson next year? I'd say yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Nico Collins, maybe not.
It's right there. Neck and
Malik
neck.
Neighbors.
Yeah, I would personally.
Okay. Just JSN.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and I'm just leaving Nico off. So that's 3 guys right there. Bijan, Gibbs, that's 5 guys.
Mhm.
We already said CMC. Jamar
Saquon.
Chase. Yep, Jamar Chase, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Puka Nacua. We're at 7.
Yeah.
James Cook. I mean, I don't see how you couldn't unless you're
Yeah.
just banking on heavy regression. So that's 9.
Which, by the way, we tried to bank on heavy regression going into this year with James Cook, and
Yeah.
that didn't pan out. Yeah, he's at the back end of the first round or second round.
CeeDee Lamb,
CeeDee Lamb.
10. Okay. Drake London. I think him and Jefferson might have similar question marks because of the
Yeah.
quarterback situation.
Yeah.
Jonathan Taylor, maybe.
Yeah, I would.
Okay. So Jonathan Taylor, that gives you 11. Devon A-Chain, that's 12. Bucky Irving-ish is somewhere around there, and then you start talking about some of the rookies, Trevion Henderson, Amarion Hampton. Those guys I don't think should go ahead of him, but they very could. So we're talking about the fact that Jefferson is probably going to be somewhere around 12 and 16 next year.
Yeah,
is what I'm
end,
guessing is where his ADP falls. That's an awesome discount, right? I would be very, very happy to take him.
It's actually kind of the situation that Christian, for different reasons, but that's kind of the situation that Christian McCaffrey was in last year. Kind of back end of the first round or early second round. So yeah.
Jared Fortin. Hey guys, happy holidays. PPR need 1. Tracy, Wandale, Tet, or Michael Wilson. Yeah, I'm going with Michael Wilson. Happy holidays. Appreciate you popping in.
Yeah, happy holidays indeed. Yeah, I'll go Michael Wilson. Tracy would be the next man up after that.
Okay. Someone said McBride. Puka, we did say Puka as well.
Puka, yep. McBride, I guess, if somebody wants to take a tight end in the first,
Amazon said go Birds. McBride. Cool. I was going to say McBride. I was kind of, Bowers will probably get steamed up again. I think we're going to get a massive discount, I think, on tight ends and quarterbacks next year.
I need to see what the hell the Raiders do with their team before I commit anything to Brock Bowers. So, yeah.
All right, let's see what we got here. Spencer said, good morning. Start Marvin Harrison Jr., Michael Wilson, Harvey, got MJ. Blah, 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 blah. I would go with Wilson and Harvey.
Yeah, I feel like we had a similar question like this, but yeah, I'm going same. Wilson, Harvey.
Cam said need 2. Javonte, Trey Henderson, Michael Carter, Estime also need 2 wide receivers. Diggs, Coker, AD Mitchell. I would go with AD Mitchell and Diggs. And then I would say Javonte and Trevion Henderson.
Yeah, I'll go there. I was really thinking about Michael Carter though over Henderson, but I will go Javonte and Henderson, and I agree on the wide receivers. But it's right there between Carter and Henderson for me. Okay.
Let's go rapid fire here. You answer one, I'll answer one. You can take this one first. From Belwas for Life said, good morning, happy Sunday, Michael Carter, Woody Marks if he plays.
If I knew Woody Marks was going to be full healthy and playing a full game, I would say Woody Marks by a mile, but we don't know that. And like somebody mentioned earlier, I do worry about re-injury, so I'll go Michael Carter in this spot.
Okay. Ryan said, can't decide between Coker, Estime, or I can hold out for Juwan Jordan if Woody's out, or Pittman. Don't know if he can be trusted. Yeah, I would honestly play Pittman over Coker, but I prefer Estime. Look, 49ers, their secondary is pretty bad. I think Phillip Rivers another week in the system is going to be better. I don't have Michael Pittman ranked very high this week, but I would still go Audric Estime. Pittman would be my pivot, and then I would go Coker after that. So, yeah, Kirk Cousins or JJ McCarthy. We really haven't gotten a ton of quarterback questions outside of the guys at the top. Not really a lot of streamers. I guess it's probably because many people moving on were not starting many streamers.
Yeah.
Sure. Kirk Cousins or JJ McCarthy, Hoff. And I have JJ McCarthy ahead of Kirk Cousins. I know Kirk was on a heater last week. But they're 21-22. I don't really feel conviction over either guy here. I couldn't even tell you that in good faith that I made that ranking between the two of them and put a ton of thought into that. Once you start getting to that territory with those kinds of quarterbacks, it's really shooting fish in a barrel. But McCarthy's got the legs, he's got the higher upside. That's why I put him ahead of Kirk Cousins. We've seen Kirk come in and have some of these big spots. I'd love to see Kirk string another good game. I'd love to see him finish the rest of the season off strong, Hoff. But I'll take McCarthy, who's got the higher upside. I expect him to run at least 5-6 times today.
Yeah, I slightly lean JJ McCarthy in this one. Giants allowed 14.7 points last week, but prior to that, I mean, they allowed 20 more points in 3 out of their previous 4 games. So, yeah, I slightly lean JJ, but this is a close one.
Sure.
No problem,
Oh,
Dustin.
man, excuse me.
Jeez, Dustin, Pete is bored with you saying thank you. That's so rude of Pete. Terrible.
I need coffee, man.
What's wrong
Eric
with
said
you?
PPR pick 2, Higgins, Gainwell, Marvin Harrison Jr. Yeah, if it's T. Higgins, it's T. Higgins for me. And then I would go with Kenneth Gainwell over Marv.
I will even say maybe I'm wildly disrespecting Marvin Harrison. Even if it's Jaden Higgins, I'd go Jaden Higgins over Marvin Harrison.
Yeah, I
Just
wouldn't
saying.
go there. I just think the points should be there if Marv is healthy. I just don't know what to expect from Marv and his health today. That's
Yeah.
really my biggest concern. If I knew that we were getting him healthy and he was going to be running full speed and there were no concerns of re-injury, I'd be comfortable with Marv, but I just don't know what to expect, and I don't want to take those chances right now with my fantasy football playoffs.
Yeah.
Fetty said Igbuka, Waddle, or AD Mitchell PPR. Yeah, I would go with Jalen Waddle here.
Yep, so would I.
Sutton, Flowers, McMillan, start 2 half PPR. Hoff, what do you got?
I will go Sutton here, and I will actually go with I'm gonna go Zay Flowers here. I think Zay Flowers gets a touchdown, which will make a day for him and put him slightly over McMillan, but it's not a landslide pick. But I'll give some love to your boy Sutton.
Sure. Jared Fortin said Jefferson or Michael Wilson. I would go Michael Wilson.
Yep.
Laker Commander said San Francisco spot 4-point passing touchdown, London or Ewers. Superflex, sorry.
Yeah.
Hoff, who would you put?
Just wondering. You said San Francisco spot. I got confused. I'll go London here over Ewers. I know that sounds outside the box, but that's why you're asking, because it's a quarterback against a wide receiver in a super flex spot. But no, I'll go London here.
Me too. T. Higgins, Drake London, or Mike Evans. I will go with Mike Evans here. I actually have to make
There is
sure
no
that
Mike Evans there. There's Michael Wilson.
Yeah, I gotta make sure. Oh, fuck.
Reading's
Yeah,
important, Pete.
What'd you say?
I said reading's important. I'm just being a dick. That's what I do best.
I gotta add T. Higgins back into my rankings now because I just realized he's not there because of the potential that he's not going to play. But I think he does play.
I think I'd lean Michael Wilson here, honestly. Next up, I think I'd do Drake London. But yeah, I think I'll go Michael Wilson here. And what he's been giving us, I know Marvin Harrison's coming back, but I just feel like there's a connection there between Jacoby and Michael Wilson right now. Not that it's like a not that it's like a Peyton Manning, Marvin Harrison connection, but I'll have to go Michael Wilson here.
Yeah, I go Drake London. I prefer him over both guys, and then T. Higgins would be my wide receiver 12 today. I'd have him ahead of DK Cortland, Juwan Jennings, and Michael Wilson.
Yeah.
We do have a super chat. Let me grab that, and then we'll get back to the question I just pulled by accident. Dave said full PPR. Pick 2, Higgins, Hampton, Gainwell, Travis Etienne. This is tight. I think it's definitely T. Higgins for me. And then for the next spot, I would go with Travis Etienne.
Yeah, I was gonna. Travis Etienne was my slam dunk pick here. I debated in my head a little bit Gainwell or Higgins because of it being PPR, but I'll go Higgins here.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard to bench T. Higgins if he's playing. I get it. The concussions are scary. I mean, he's left games early so much this year, but I mean, you look at what he's done. The targets 9, 8, 6, 11 the last 4 weeks. If you extrapolate that farther, he's got 8, 10, 2, 9, 8, 6, 11. And so it's even in the game where he had 2 targets against the Jets, he still scored a touchdown. He had 1 catch for 44. So you got to have T. Higgins in the lineup today, man.
Sure.
He's just too good. Purdy or Brissett, I'm going with Jacoby. I think Hoff is as well.
Yes, I am.
You can take this one, Hoff. I have Lad, but do I start Herbert and do the stack or play Jacoby Brissett against Atlanta?
Well, I don't even think the stack really matters because Lad McConkey hasn't done much of anything lately. I'm actually wondering if there's a way you could play anybody over Lad McConkey, but that's not the point of your question. I would, in this case, I go with the solid play of Jacoby over Herbert. I know Pete referenced, Herbert's a couple of weeks away from that hand injury, so it could be in the rear view and he could get back into a rhythm, but I'll go Jacoby here in this spot.
Steelers or Saints defense. I see that in the chat lower. But yeah, Saints for me. I'm not going to make you wait for that.
By the way, we have
Well,
30 likes here. If anybody wants to jump in and hit that like button.
yeah, hit that like button, folks. Full PPR, we answered this one, but we both said AD Mitchell here, and then estimate if you want the safer play. I want to play Titans defense, but I have the 49ers in right now. Talk me into the Titans. Yeah, I mean, I'm going Titans over 49ers. I think Rivers get the ball out fast. They'll continue to get the ball out quick. I think they're going to be a heavy dose of the run game in this one. 49ers have struggled on defense just in general, tackling the running back. So I'm going with the Titans. I think the ceiling is higher. I think Kansas City missing a bunch of their players, missing their quarterback, all that matters, all that adds up, and so I think it makes more sense to roll out with the Titans. Tyler Super Chat said pick PPR pick 2, Stephon Diggs, BTJ, Coker, or Woody Marks. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go with Diggs this week. I'm not super high on Diggs. I have Diggs as my wide receiver 29. I have BTJ as my wide receiver 30. Honestly, BTJ is really interesting today, Hoff, because I don't know if Surtan's going to shadow him or not. If it's not Surtan, I think he's in for a really nice day. If it is Surtan, he's in for a tough day. So it's hard. But I'm going with Stephon Diggs, and I would probably go with Woody Marks if we know he's healthy. But yeah, so I'm down on Woody Marks, but I'll take the running back with the volume in a good matchup over the wide receiver. That's probably wide receiver 2 and in a tougher matchup.
Yeah, there are some questions that we've gotten with Woody where I can easily pivot off of Woody because of the injury concern and play the other guys, but not in this situation. Woody Marks is one of my guys, and I will go BTJ here. I would say temper your expectations based on what coverages could be, which Pete just referenced, but I will go with what I expect to be a decent volume day for BTJ over Diggs at least. Coker is kind of an afterthought in this discussion. So,
perfect. Let's see.
That's what I thought. Thank you.
T. Higgins or Rico? I'm going with Higgins.
Yep.
Hoff, take this one. Pick 2. London, Mitchell, Wilson, full PPR.
I'm gonna go London and I'm gonna go Wilson. But Sutton's close here, even though I've been picking on Pete. He's close there.
Jonathan started Parkinson at tight end, needs some upside to make up for it. My running backs are Irving and Henderson, and my wide receivers are Lamb and Evans. Should I flex Hampton, Rico, Aaron Jones, Tracy Waller, Fannin? I'm gonna go. I know I like Harold Fannin a lot this week, but I would still go with Hampton this week.
Agreed. Yeah. There is some upside with those tight ends, but I agree. I go Hampton.
Josh at PPR, how would you rank these flex options? BTJ, Michael Carter, Igbuka. I go Michael Carter. I go BTJ, and then I go Igbuka.
Same.
Okay. Coop said start 1.5 PPR for the tight end position, so a half point premium, and then 0.5 running backs. I'm a little lost in the scoring.
It's tight end premium. And I'm going to assume it's only half a point per reception for running
backs. Or okay,
that's what I'll assume reading this.
Yeah, I mean it's Waller. It's Waller for me then.
Yeah, it's Waller. Yeah, tight end premium. I mean Waller though. You're looking at more touchdowns than receptions for Darren Waller, to be honest. But still,
sure.
In terms of the tight end premium, but I'm still going Waller there.
So Michael Carter or Diggs. I'll go Michael Carter today.
I will as well.
Fannin, Gainwell, Worthy. I would go with Harold Fannin, but I do like Gainwell today.
Same exact thing. Yeah.
Unless that hasn't played, but you trust him. Yeah, I trust him. I mean, if you look at London and what he did the last time he had a hip injury and he missed, he came out and played just fine. So I expect him to be full go. If he's going to play it, I expect him to play full snaps. I don't, why put yourself out there in a lost season? He came off of a hip injury in week 8. So after week 8, he didn't play week 8, had the hip. And then against the Patriots, he ended up scoring 38.8 points. He had 3 touchdowns, 9 receptions, 118. And he then had 100 yards every single game after that.
Yeah,
So
he's missed 5 games, but he's still the wide receiver 19. That's why I trust him.
yeah.
Because if he's out there,
Let's try to go rapid fire here though, because I gotta get out of here, Hoff.
Same.
In like about 5 minutes. So let's try to rip through these.
do it.
Estimate AD Mitchell. We both said AD Mitchell, but we estimate would be the floor play.
Mhm.
Rico or Hampton. I think we both prefer Hampton here. We talked about this, but
Yep.
Egbuka or Sutton. We both prefer Sutton. Flex Khalil Shakir. Or Ted McMillan. Still going Ted McMillan.
Still going Ted.
Yeah. Played Christian Watson. Unfortunately, didn't snag any of those touchdowns. Flex Estime or Flowers. I would go with Flowers. But if you want the floor, you go with Estime.
Yep.
Dowdle or Jennings in the flex, I would go with Juwan Jennings.
Juwan. We do have a super chat just popped in too. But yeah.
Stan Moore said, crazy to start Brissett over Josh Allen. I'm up 54 points because of Puka and scared of Allen's floor. I think Allen's the play. I think you're overthinking it if you put Brissett out there. You play to win. I don't care if you're up 54 points. There's no need to play it safe because you're up 54. Go out there and you put Josh Allen out there.
Yeah, keep the foot on the throat, Josh Allen.
Yeah, anything can happen, right? You don't play. You don't. I personally, I don't. I think it's a mistake to play it safe.
You will kick yourself so hard if you lose for any reason and you put Josh Allen on your bench. You will kick yourself for years.
Yeah. Half PPR, 1 flex, Wandale Carter, Mike, Harold Fannin. I would go with.
Come on.
Between Carter and Fannin for me.
Yeah.
I would still go with Michael Carter here.
I'm going Fannin, but I was waiting for you to say Fannin. But yeah.
Yeah. Rico or T. Higgins, I prefer T. Higgins.
Same.
Rico or Jennings, I prefer Jennings.
Yep.
Michael Wilson, Wandale, or Jacoby Myers, Michael Wilson for me.
Yep, Michael Wilson.
Wilson, Judkins, Dowdle, Michael Carter, and the flex, half PPR. I would go with Michael Wilson still.
Yeah, weird world. We're starting 2 Cardinals, but yeah, I dig it. Let's do it.
But you would prefer those running backs over Carter for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Full PPR, estimate Michael Carter pick 2 and either Michael Wilson in the flex. I would. The wide receivers are close here for me. I would go with Michael Wilson over Tet McMillan, and then I would go with Michael Carter over the other running backs here.
Same. I wish Woody Marks was completely healthy, but he's not.
Dak or Bo Nix? I'm going with Dak.
Yeah, I go Dak.
Hall or Hampton? I'm going Hampton comfortably over Hall.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the only reason why you're thinking about this is based on what Hall has done in previous years. It's Hampton for me.
Yeah. Harvey Hall, Hampton in the flex. I think I'm still going Hampton over. Oh, I'm going Harvey over Hampton. Sorry.
Is it the PPR that outweighs it? Is that what does it? Or?
It's just the non-split right now. Right now Vidal is in for the passing downs. So Hampton's really the red zone guy, and getting more of the running work, where Vidal's getting the receiving work. Harvey's not really splitting much time at all anymore.
Yeah, no, I would take Harvey.
Nico, London, Jennings, Evans, pick 3. Please help.
Shit.
Yeah, I mean,
I think Jennings is the odd man out for me.
Jennings. Yeah, Jennings for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Ferguson or Gadsden or Pierce? I would go with Gadsden this week.
He also said good morning, but I'll go Gadsden.
Morning. McPherson or Lutz?
McPherson.
Lawrence or McCarthy? I'll go Lawrence.
I will go Lawrence as well.
Montgomery or Chubb? It's gross. I'd go Montgomery.
I go Montgomery, and yeah, gross, not good.
This is for Pete. Warren or Waller? I would go with not Warren. I'd go with Waller
And
for sure.
And Hoover, I already gave you my answer last night, so you already know my answer. So, but thank you for the fried rice.
You got Green said, thanks, fellas. First time here. Appreciate you popping in. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you like the show. Thank you. Purdy or Goff? I'm going Goff. I have Goff as top 5 quarterback this week. Rico or Carter? I prefer Carter, but if you want to play it safe, go Rico. He's done it more.
Bingo.
Jennings or DK? I prefer DK. Etienne or Wilson? I would go with Travis Etienne here.
Yeah.
Okay. Wandale, Aaron Jones, or Kenneth Gainwell? I would go with Kenneth Gainwell.
Same.
Kenneth Gainwell, Michael Carter. I prefer Carter, and I prefer Herbert here over Purdy. What about you?
If it's PPR, I'll go Gainwell over Carter. If it's half point or standard, I'll go Carter. And Herbert or Purdy, I'm going to go Herbert slightly over Purdy.
Last one, Gary the Berry said Lawrence or McCarthy. I prefer Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, which we had that a little bit earlier, but yeah, I go Lawrence as well.
Okay. And Saints D or Steelers, I prefer the Saints D comfortably. That's good for us, guys. Thank you guys so much. We had a total of 3,200 views on the show between Twitter, YouTube. So make sure you hit that like button and make sure you hit that subscribe button. Nightmare said, even with Harrison on snap count, still ETN. Yeah, I would. I would say it's still Travis Etienne for sure.
Easily for me.
Yeah. But that's going to do for us. Thank you guys so much for watching. We very, very much appreciate all the support this season. Hope to see you guys back next week because you won your matchups. Thank you guys so much for the super chats. We had a ton of people send in today. Helps us very, very much. And yeah, we'll see you guys. I think Hoff maybe will be here tomorrow for the Monday show.
Yeah, we can make that work.
All righty. Sounds good. We'll see you guys.